Then he tested all the kids under 12. If you passed Henry's test, you were allowed to use the elevator on your own. If you didn't, too bad, you'd have to take it again. Fudge passed on his first try. Does Minnie have a code name? Fudge asked Eudora. We were in the elevator on Saturday morning. Eudora was on her way to the park with Fudge and Minnie. I was meeting Jimmy at the subway station. He was coming up to spend the day with me. What kind of a code name? Eudora asked Fudge. You know, Fudge said, a code name so nobody can steal him. Steal him? Eudora asked. Yes. Farley knows he's not supposed to talk to strangers, Eudora said. Only Eudora and Howie still call Minnie Farley. Yeah, but how does he know if a stranger asks him to help find a puppy, he should run the other way, yell as loud as he can, and tell a good grown-up? Eudora grabbed Minnie's hand. Right now, I don't let him out of my sight when we're on the street. She was quiet for a minute. Then she asked Fudge if he had a code name. Fudge nodded. It's a secret code name that only the family knows. You want to hear it? Well, yes, I guess since I'm family, I should know. It's Egg Duff Muriel, Fudge whispered. What an unusual name, Eudora said. Isn't that an unusual name, Farley? Egg Duff, Minnie said. Shush, Fudge warned him. Never say it out loud. Egg Duff, Minnie whispered. That's better, Fudge said, in case you want to know what it means. It's Fudge spelled backwards. Eudora was quiet for a minute. Then she said, Yell, Ref. What? Fudge asked. Yell, Ref, Eudora repeated. That's Farley spelled backwards. Now he needs a last name. Do you have a mother? He asked Eudora. I did, but she died a few years ago. Her name was Rose. You got that, Minnie? Fudge said. Your code name is Yell, Ref Rose, but it's a secret, so don't tell anyone. I think Minnie's too young to get it, I told Fudge. You're never too young for a code name, Pete, and never too old either. You better start working on yours if you're going to take the subway by yourself. Thanks for the advice, Fudge. Better safe than sorry. That's what Grandma always says. Not that I'd admit it to Fudge, but all his talk about code names got me thinking maybe I should have one too. Let's see. I spelled my name backwards in my head. Retep. Then I threw in my middle name spelled backwards just to make it more interesting. Nera. Then I added Grandma's name, Muriel. That made me Retep Nera Muriel. Good name, but who should I tell? Not Fudge. He'd broadcast it to the world. Jimmy? I don't think so. He might laugh. I still couldn't figure out how having a code name would help if I met up with trouble on the subway or anyplace else. As soon as the Howies were settled in the Chen's apartment, Eudora invited us down to dinner. Do I have to go? I asked Mom. Yes. Can't you tell them I have a stomachache or something? No. Can I go home the second I'm done eating? Because I have a lot of homework. You can go home as soon as the table is cleared, Mom said, as long as you're polite about it. I'll be very polite. You won't believe how polite I can be when I want to be polite. I'll be so polite. Okay, Peter, Mom said. I get your point. At the dinner table, the talk turned to Halloween. Fudge said, Minnie can trick-or-treat with me. Well, we're taking him, Flora said. We've always been curious about Halloween, Fauna said. What's all this talk about Halloween, Howie said. You know how I feel about candy. We don't care about the, Fauna began. Candy, Flora said. We're interested in the cultural event, Fauna said. We want to observe, Flora said, as part of our studies, Fauna said. Mom told Cousin Howie how safe it is to trick-or-treat in our building. We know all the neighbors. Eudora said, it might be educational for them to experience Halloween one time, Howie. Cousin Howie drummed his fingers on the table. His eyebrows crept together. After a while, he said, all right, but just this one time. And no candy. Candy will rot your teeth. You don't have to worry about candy, Daddy, the Natural Beauties said together. I was beginning to see how this worked. Cousin Howie said no to everything. The Natural Beauties begged and pleaded. Eudora was usually on their side. She had to present the case very carefully to Howie, but in the end, the Natural Beauties almost always got their way. What's Minnie going to be for Halloween? Fudge asked. He's going to be a, Flora began. Tiger, Fauna said. Minnie growled. Or maybe a, Flora began again. Lion, Fauna said. Minnie growled, louder this time. I know, Flora said. He wants to be a manatee, Fauna guessed. Sure she got it right this time. No, Minnie shouted, surprising everyone. Egg Duff. Egg Duff, Flora said. What's an Egg Duff? It's me, Fudge told them. Minnie wants to be me for Halloween. You, the Natural Beauties said at the same time. Yes, Fudge told them. Yell Ref Rose wants to be Egg Duff Muriel. Does anybody know what's going on here, Howie asked. I do, Eudora said, and it makes perfect sense. On Halloween night, the Natural Beauties brought Minnie up to our apartment. Fudge was already dressed as a miser in a white shirt, a pair of red suspenders, and his money tie from the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. He carried his pouch of shredded money in one hand, and in the other his trick-or-treat bag. Mom had another white shirt ready for Minnie, along with a second pair of red suspenders. Since there was only one money tie, Mom let Fudge decorate an old green tie of Dad's. He drew dollar signs with wings all over it. Mom plunked a hat on each of their heads. Then she snapped photos of the two of them, the miser and his double. The doorbell rang. It was Melissa Beth Miller from downstairs. She was carrying her cat in a basket. Fuzzball was wearing a pointy black hat. "He's my wizard," she said, "and I'm Hermione from—" "Don't say it out loud," Fudge shouted. "Don't worry," Melissa said. "I never say his name out loud." "Whose name?" Flora asked. "Never mind," I told them. This was all getting to be too much for me. "Okay, Pete, let's go," Fudge said. "Go?" I asked. "Yeah, you're taking me and Melissa." "Wait a minute. I thought you were going with Flora and Fauna." "No, they're taking Minnie." "We couldn't possibly be responsible for more than one child," Fauna said. "Because we'll be busy taking notes for our report on the cultural event," Flora told me. "Daddy says we each have to write 3 pages, Fauna said. "Single-spaced," Flora added, in case I still didn't get it. Okay, I said. "Let's just go and get this over with." We all took the elevator to the 16th floor and started working our way down. At every apartment, the Natural Beauties sang a few lines from their collection of New York songs. East Side, West Side, 42nd Street, Give My Regards to Broadway, Manhattan. The neighbors loved it. They tried to shower the Natural Beauties with candy, but they politely refused. On the 6th floor, we met up with Olivia Osterman, who was just coming out of her apartment. She was wearing a long red cape. "I'm going to a party," she said, holding a feathered bird mask in front of her face. "You look like Uncle Feather, except you're the wrong color," Fudge told her. "I'm a nightingale, not a mina," Mrs. Osterman said as she pressed the button for the elevator. The Goldens, who also live on 6th, opened their door. Mr. and Mrs. Golden and their daughter Gina were all wearing fright wigs. "Happy Halloween," they sang together. They had vampire teeth in their mouths. Minnie growled at them. Before the Natural Beauties could get out 2 notes, the Golden's poodle started barking at Fuzzball. Fuzzball leapt out of the basket and ran for his life, straight into the Golden's apartment. "Fuzzball, come back here," Melissa called, chasing him. Mrs. Golden ran after Melissa, and Gina ran after Mrs. Golden. Mr. Golden just stood there in his fright wig and vampire teeth holding the bowl of candy bars.